The Dodgers entered this matchup against the Milwaukee Brewers, knowing that every game mattered, but what happened over the next 9 innings exposed problems that Los Angeles can no longer afford to ignore. A 6-2 defeat was not simply another loss in the standings. It was a game that highlighted defensive mistakes, inconsistent offense, bullpen struggles, and growing pressure surrounding the Dodgers as the regular season moves toward its most important stage. And then, late in the game, Shohei Ohtani became part of a reported confrontation that added even more drama to an already frustrating night. But before we get into that controversy, let's start with how the game itself slipped away from Los Angeles. The Dodgers had a major opportunity to escape the second inning without allowing any damage. Milwaukee loaded the bases with 2 outs, but the Dodgers appeared to have found a way out when a ground ball was hit toward shortstop. Mookie Betts fielded the ball and attempted to make the play at second base, but the exchange did not go as planned. The ball was not handled cleanly, allowing Milwaukee to stay alive and eventually score the game's opening run. For a Dodgers team trying to play clean baseball against one of the National League's strongest opponents, it was exactly the kind of mistake they could not afford. Los Angeles eventually answered in the 4th inning. With 2 outs and nobody on base, Max Muncy stepped into the batter's box and delivered one of the few major offensive highlights of the night. Muncy connected with the pitch and sent it over the wall for a solo home run. Just like that, the game was tied at 1-1. For a moment, the Dodgers appeared to have regained control, but Milwaukee responded again. In the 5th inning, the Brewers created another scoring opportunity after a double put a runner in position. Jake Bauers then delivered an RBI single, putting Milwaukee back in front. The Dodgers were now trailing 2-1, but the game was still very much within reach. The starting pitcher had managed to limit the damage, completing 6 innings and keeping the Brewers from breaking the game open. That was important because Los Angeles still had plenty of time to respond. Unfortunately for the Dodgers, the game changed dramatically once the bullpen entered. After the starter left, Edgardo Henriquez was brought into the game. He managed to record 2 outs, but Milwaukee continued putting pressure on the Dodgers. A single created another dangerous situation, and Dave Roberts decided to make a pitching change. Alex Vesia entered with the expectation of stopping the developing rally. Instead, Milwaukee continued attacking. Bauers came through again, driving a double into the gap and bringing another run across the plate. Andrew Vaughn followed with an RBI single. Suddenly, what had been a 1-run game became a 4-1 Brewers advantage. That sequence was devastating for Los Angeles because the Dodgers had spent 6 innings keeping Milwaukee within striking distance. Then, in just a few moments, the bullpen gave the Brewers breathing room, but the Dodgers were not finished. In the 8th inning, Los Angeles finally created the kind of opportunity that could have completely changed the game. Teoscar Hernandez reached base and advanced on a wild pitch. A pinch hitter then delivered a single, putting runners at first and third. And then came the moment every Dodgers fan was waiting for. Shohei Ohtani stepped into the batter's box. With runners on base and the Dodgers needing a big swing, Ohtani represented the perfect opportunity to change the momentum. A home run would have immediately transformed the game. Milwaukee knew exactly how dangerous that situation was. The Brewers turned to Aaron Ashby, looking for the matchup that could finally neutralize Ohtani. And this time, Milwaukee won the battle. Ohtani put the ball on the ground and the Brewers quickly converted the play into a double play. The Dodgers' most promising scoring opportunity had disappeared almost instantly. The disappointment inside the stadium was obvious. And according to reports surrounding the game, the situation became even more heated shortly afterward. As Ohtani moved back toward the Dodgers' dugout, an exchange reportedly developed involving Brewers players. Some reports and social media discussions claimed that William Contreras and Luis Lara directed comments toward Ohtani after the unsuccessful at-bat. However, claims about exactly what was said or whether anyone intentionally attempted to provoke Ohtani should be treated cautiously unless confirmed by MLB or reliable reporting. What is clear is that tensions reportedly escalated. Players from both sides became involved, and the situation eventually required teammates, coaches, and officials to intervene. For the Dodgers, the concern was no longer about the previous at-bat. It was about preventing the situation from becoming more serious. Shohei Ohtani is one of the most important players on the roster, and the last thing Los Angeles needs at this stage of the season is for him to be involved in an unnecessary physical confrontation. The umpires and coaching staffs worked to separate the players and restore order. Security personnel were also reportedly involved as the teams were moved back toward their respective areas. The incident added another layer of frustration to a game that was already slipping away from Los Angeles. And unfortunately, the Dodgers' problems did not end there. The ninth inning created another painful example of defensive inconsistency. With a runner on base, a fly ball to right field became difficult to handle, reportedly because of the sun. The Dodgers were unable to complete the play cleanly, allowing Milwaukee to move another runner into scoring position. Then the Brewers loaded the bases. Another ground ball was hit towards second base, creating what appeared to be an opportunity for the Dodgers to escape, but once again the defense failed to complete the play. The mistake allowed two Brewers runners to score. Milwaukee's lead grew to 6-1. At that point, the game was essentially out of reach. The Dodgers did manage to produce one final highlight in the bottom of the ninth, when Andy Pages hit a solo home run, but it was far too late. Los Angeles could not create another rally, and the Dodgers walked away with a 6-2 defeat. The loss was especially disappointing because Milwaukee had now taken control of the series. Instead of proving themselves against one of the National League's top competitors, the Dodgers came away with only one victory in 4 games, and that result raises a serious question. Are the Dodgers currently playing good enough baseball to dominate the postseason? The talent is obviously there. The roster has stars, the lineup has power, the pitching staff has experienced arms, but talent alone does not guarantee October success. The Dodgers have to execute, and right now that execution has been inconsistent. The defensive mistakes are particularly concerning because postseason games are often decided by 1 or 2 critical plays: a missed catch, a bad throw, a failed double play. One mistake can completely change the outcome, and the Dodgers made too many of those mistakes against Milwaukee. But perhaps the biggest concern is the offense. After the game, Dave Roberts reportedly expressed frustration with the way his hitters have been approaching at-bats. His message was essentially about discipline, winning difficult counts, working deeper into at-bats, avoiding unnecessary swings, getting into favorable counts instead of immediately chasing pitches. Those details might sound small, but over 9 innings they can determine whether a team scores 2 runs or 8. According to Roberts, the Dodgers' offensive problems have not appeared overnight. He indicated that the lineup has struggled for several weeks, describing the offense as below average over an extended stretch. That is a major warning sign, because this Dodgers lineup is supposed to be one of the biggest strengths of the team. When players like Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Muncy and Hernandez are producing consistently, the Dodgers can overwhelm opponents. But when the lineup becomes overly aggressive and starts chasing pitches outside the strike zone, the entire offense can suddenly disappear. And that is what Los Angeles needs to fix. The Dodgers do not need every hitter to hit a home run. They need better at-bats. They need runners on base. They need longer innings. They need to force opposing pitchers to throw more pitches. They need to turn one base runner into 2, and 2 into 3. That is how championship offenses create pressure. And if the Dodgers cannot rediscover that identity before October, the postseason could become much more difficult than expected. The Brewers' loss therefore represents more than one bad night. It is another warning. The Dodgers have the talent to compete with anyone, but they cannot continue giving opponents extra opportunities through defensive mistakes while simultaneously struggling to generate consistent offense. And then there is Ohtani. His importance to this team goes far beyond his statistics. Every time he steps into the batter's box, opponents have to change their strategy. If the Dodgers want to make another deep playoff run, the time to fix these problems is not October, it is right now. What do you think is the biggest issue facing the Dodgers at the moment? The inconsistent offense, the defensive mistakes, or the bullpen? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this Dodgers breakdown, make sure to subscribe to Baseball Pulse, turn on notifications, and share this video with another MLB fan. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.